From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In today's recording, we go over that deal that was reached or wasn't reached overnight. Broadcast media said the president reached a deal with Joe Manchin overnight, but did he or did he not? Then we go to the new poll that says Americans don't know what's in the recon, and if it was based upon today's broadcast news reports, you can see why. Then the price is right. Was the price at 1.7 yesterday, or was it not? I have the latest details as we go into a big afternoon recording. Then, of course, the meat and potatoes of this recording is the programs themselves. Which one's in, which one's out? You have a big update coming up in this video. I'll be going over no less than 12 programs, what numbers they're sitting at and what numbers they're going to. Then the exciting details of student loan debt heats up and another round of student loan debt could be forgiven this week. This is as Nancy Pelosi tells the Senate to give their insight on the recon today. COLA's going up and fifth stimulus coming right behind it. What does that mean for you? I have the latest details. And then, as we look back on the first year and a half of this channel, we learned so much about ourselves, and we have a lot more to learn over the next few years, and it's just starting today. We got a big afternoon's recording because no less than 12 of the programs updated overnight. Big good news, big exciting news, as Nancy asked the Senate for their input today on what they want to add to the recon. Did you hear that word? I heard it. Add on. It's almost as good as the leaf balloon. Here we go. We got a big afternoon's recording and it starts right here on LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. It's massive rains here in Southern California, hence the darkness on the set. A deal is happening, but broadcast media reported a deal hatched overnight. True or false? I have the latest details today. 1.7, broadcast media said the recon's going to 1.7. True or false? I have the latest update on that as well. Programs in and programs out. They had this one butchered as well. Did they get anything right? Probably not. In this recording, I go no less than 12 programs over in this recording explaining which ones are coming in, and guess what? More staying in there, just at lesser amounts. And then student loan debt. More debt could be forgiven this week. I have the latest detail. And then we look at that COLA raise. And that COLA raise is incredible, but guess what? We're not just ending there because fifth stimulus is right around the corner. And we look forward to what we've learned over the last year and a half as this channel turned 1.5 years old yesterday. I look forward and we look back over all these incredible details as we go into a big afternoon's recording. It's a monolith because trust me, of all the recordings in the last few days, this is the one that has the most update about the programs in no less than about 2 days. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record, and 140 million viewers in 1.5 years. I really appreciate your patronage, and thank you for the incredible company and this community this channel has delivered. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's go right into that recon. We're going to go over where we are broadly in the first part of this video. Then the second half, we're going to go program after program. A $3.5 trillion recon was passed by a House subcommittee several weeks ago. The recon will no longer be at $3.5 trillion, but the programs, some of them staying in there, some of them coming out, are much the same. Those programs are divided to 3 classes of checks, and we're going to go over each of them. Viewers of this channel, like viewers of this channel after the third stimulus, are going to do really well in this recon. Most viewers of this channel will get about $15,000 from this recon. Let's go over where that money comes to you across all these different clusters of checks, starting with the first one and the latest update. Hazard pay and elder care. Here we go. We've heard no update about the hazard pay, but that would be the earned income tax credit, broadening the eligibility, increasing the amount of money for those essential workers. We've heard no update about the $4,000 of elder care either. This is huge, and up to $4,000 for young children's money. we have an update about the Pell's grant today. It is in there. It's absolutely in there. Everything about the college student staying in there, the grant to the university, to the student, and the Pell's grant, I can report to you. I have an update just today. It's in there and it's not coming out. Great news for that. Then the CTC, the child tax credit, I was the first to tell you, it's not going to be 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, or 4 years. It's 1 year. $3,600 to $3,000 per child, if that is a low-income family. Then the bikes, cars, and trucks, no update about that, but it's presumed to still be in there. $7,500 for the purchase price of a new electric vehicle, $7,500 if it's a little bit more if it's for a truck or business use, and 15% for a purchase of a new electric bike. The first add-on is that $25,000 add-on from Maxine Waters for the purchase of a new home. We have no update about that. Do I see that number surviving? I don't. It's a little bit too rich a number. So I don't see $25,000 surviving. But I can tell you that it's part of the housing aid. And the housing aid is absolutely in there as of today. In the second half of this video, I'm going to be going over the housing aid. In fact, I had told you yesterday that, actually the last 2 days, that Maxine Waters got it passed in the House Subcommittee at $200 billion. Then it was removed. Then she got it back in at 100. I told you it was $100 to $150 billion. I believe the number I'm showing you in the second half of this video, it's 175. So it went up a little bit higher. So great news for that. She can slide this $25,000 into that provision, but nothing directly on point about the $25,000. The housing aid, which is rent assistance and mortgage assistance, it's staying in there. Let's go to cluster number 2. And here we go. Home repairs and paid leave. In the first cluster, unfortunately, I forgot one provision, which was the home repairs for low-income community. That is believed to still be in there. In the second cluster, there's another home repair. I'm going to go over that as well. Let's go over the incredible details in the second cluster and see which were in there and which ones are coming out. Paid family leave, medical leave, a child care money, in pre-kindergarten, tuition-free community college, and money to weatherize your home. So just like the money for the low-income house repairs, the weatherizing your home money is believed to still be in there. We have no direct update about it as of yet. But we do have updates about the other items. Paid family leave, medical leave. It was threatened to be removed yesterday. It is definitely in there. I have the latest details on that. It's not as rich, but it's still in there. Absolutely survived. The pre-kindergarten believed to be in there. The tuition-free community college is literally a battleground of news outlets because one news outlet is, a lot of people are just running the quote from Joe Biden, which said it's out, Jalapal that said it's out, and Nancy Pelosi said, no, it's not out. So it's very much a battleground, whoever's quote you want to rely on that tuition-free community college. I have more about that later in this video. And there we go. The second add-on, I have an update about this one. You see how much new stuff there is in this recording. The Bob Casey home healthcare aid. I told you can't do it at $250 billion. I told you have to do some other number. The great news, as you're going to see in the second half of this video, it survived. It's in there. Not at 250, but it is in there. So this is huge. And Bob Casey actually says they're still negotiating to get it higher. Wow. This should be sort of your encouragement. A provision like this, a provision like the housing that was out as of last Thursday, then back in, then going higher, it's really great news. Now let's go to and again, this is the home health care for for people who are disabled or for seniors. All right, let's go to that third cluster, which you know is the cluster royale, the battle royale. Here we go with cluster number 3. And we have some updates about this one. This one is actually very complicated. I have this in the second half of this video. Here we go. Checks for free school meals for all. Checks. Cheaper prescription medication. Checks for farmers. Checks for clean energy. Checks for internet. Checks for free internet. Workers' checks like independent contractors. And checks for seniors. Dental, vision, and hearing care, and lowering the eligibility age for Medicare. Boy, I literally have an update about almost every provision in there. The great news is that every provision mentioned in that cluster is staying in, with the exception of the clean energy. Yeah, the seniors' money staying in, the lower the eligibility age for Medicare staying in, the dental, vision, and hearing staying in some regard. Everything seemed to have survived that was in jeopardy as of Friday. As of today, stuff went back in. Even the prescription medication, which is the one Sinema wanted out, it's staying in there. I have a very detailed explanation of what's going on with that. So this is great news. And of course, the money for the seniors. Let's go to that lowering the eligibility age of Medicare. That was the Bob Casey provision where he wanted to drop it from 65 to 60. We now know Bernie wants to drop it to 55, which means I can qualify for it yesterday. Just kidding. Not that old. There you go. I can just see Google searches are starting right now. So that is the third cluster of checks. Let's go into that MSC. As we go into the MSC, that IRS monthly stimulus check, you're going to see a big update about this one in the second half of this video. And what is the update? Pelosi says today she's asking for the Senate to give their input on what add-ons they want to do. If there was ever a day to pick up the phone and call every single senator, Casey, Coons, Warren, Sanders, Schumer, today would be the day. Nancy's asking for senators to give that incredible input on what they're doing. Here's actually the quote. Let me give you the quote right now so you hear it because, boy, it's important. Pelosi said the Senate will start to outline additional funding proposals starting today. So it's not only today, but it is those additional funding proposals, and that MSC can get in there. There's room to put MSCs in there, even at $1.7 trillion. Remember, there's no MSC for children because they now got that check in there. $3,600 or $3,000. This would be for people who are non-children. So great news across the board. When we look at that MSC, we have all the representations from the legislators over the last 3 months, 2 months, but you cannot sit back. You can see how much they have been fighting tooth and nail for their provisions. Throughout this recording, you're going to see how Pelosi, Jalopal, Bernie, even Joe Manchin fighting tooth and nail for all the provisions. You need to fight for yours as well. That representation from Chuck Schumer is that he will add it. You want it to be put in as soon as possible, but you have a lot of opportunities. First, they can put it before it's a House bill, after it's a House bill, before there's a House vote. Then they can put it after there's a House vote, before the Senate vote-a-rama. The Senate vote-a-rama is very critical of the equation because the senators do totally different things, and Ron Wyden is exemplary of the situation. I haven't come up late in this video. He's the senator, and he's introducing legislation today to slide into the recon. Yeah, he's a senator, and he's introducing legislation today to slide into the recon. This is how senators think. They add things in at the 11th hour because they have the ability to, because they go last. The 2-day vote-a-rama is the final 2 days of the entire process, and just as Ron Wyden looks at the process, he says, I have something I want to add, and I'm going to add it. So make that push, and then we have that incredible statement from the number one senator for that recon. That number one senator for that recon is saying, make the advocacy. Don't stop advocating until we are over the finish line. Let's read that statement on air right now together and see what it says. They now have in total between the Congress and the senatorial offices received more context of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. Now they have a better understanding of how the average American is trying to make it through this pandemic because of you, LALATE. They have heartbreaking stories from the LALATE viewers, and they have the voice of the people in you, LALATE, who have encouraged the nation, and you have become too loud to be ignored, LALATE. And here comes the last sentence. Let's read this on air because it's for you and me. And it's especially important today because of Pelosi's remark. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy as you are the professional voice of the people. You have become LALATE until this becomes law. What does this mean? You need to advocate down the finish line. Remember, Ron Wyden, he's not sitting back. He's introducing legislation today. Liz Warren, she introduced legislation at the 11th hour under third stimulus. What was it for? To make student loan debt forgiven tax-free, because normally you would have to pay taxes on to the federal government. She introduced that at the 11th hour during the vote-a-rama. That vote-a-rama is critical. And so who should you be advocating to today? Pick up the phone and advocate to Bob Casey, Chris Coons, Ron Wyden, Liz Warren, Chuck Schumer, and Bernie Sanders. Don't call one, call as many as you can. Say why you need it, why it's important. And the second half of this video, boy, we have a jam-packed recording. I'm going to go over nearly 12 programs in this recon, show you where the dollar figure is. I have incredible detail. Where it's going, how the price tag is, what the amount on the money, how many weeks it's going to be running. It's incredible detail like you haven't seen before. It's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. I'll be back with you as Afternoons LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LALATE as, boy, the rain is coming down in California, and boy, is it torrential. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the deal. Was a deal hatched by Joe Manchin and Joe Biden yesterday, as broadcast media reported, or were they wrong once again? They reported that Joe Manchin and Joe Biden got to a $1.7 trillion recon deal overnight. Were they accurate or were they wrong? I have the latest details. Then the program's in and program's out. Boy, you are going to be shocked with this one. It is good news. They're figuring out how to get everything in there. I got the price tag, I got the numbers, I got the years of duration. It's huge. It's a massive rundown in the second half of this video. Student loan debt, more debt could be forgiven, and guess what? It could be yours, up to $10,000. I have the latest details. COLA is going up, and that's as fifth stimulus is heating up. A legislator says get ready for fifth stimulus. I have the latest details. And then as we look over the last year and a half of this channel, what have we learned as a family? I have the latest details. As this channel looks back at its first year and a half together with you and me. It's a big afternoon's broadcast, and it starts right here. So with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Join me next on Evenings LALATE, which may be entirely different than this video, because these details are the subject of the negotiations from Saturday and Sunday. We may have massive changes by Monday afternoon before Evenings LALATE broadcast. So join that show at 5 o'clock. Then we got Street and Stimulus at 6. We got shows at 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11:30, all about forced stimulus. While those videos were from weeks ago, the programs are still the same, and it's important to learn about the programs. And with that, subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Let's go right into this incredible recon starting right now by looking at the programs in and the programs out. First, is a deal happening? Broadcast media this morning from the one of the number 3 networks sent out a feed to its broadcast affiliates and local news stations. I saw the channel. I saw it this morning, and the news read, deal with Joe Manchin, $1.7 trillion done. Excuse me? One, wrong. There was no deal done with Joe Manchin overnight. Number 2, it was not a $1.7 trillion anything. Number 3, and the program negotiations are still battling across the board. So, incorrect reporting across the board. Where are we right now? The deal is at the 11th hour. They have literally 95% of the recon done. Nancy said on Friday it was 90%. I think it's about 95% done. They're trying to get everything in there and out of there. And guess what? You know, because I'm about to say it again, they can still add things in there. There's leeway and room to still add things in there. They're still working on the revenue side on the backside, which is the taxes. That's not even still finalized as well. And they're trying to figure out where programs lie across the board. So that is the current situation. Deal, but not yet, but very, very close. A new poll says Americans don't know what is in that recon. This is really surprising, says the graphic. Can you come back? Oh, you don't want to come back, do you? Americans do not know what is in this recon. And Americans simply, in a new CBS poll, have no idea that a recon exists. 90% of Americans polled by CBS had no idea that a recon exists. 10% knew it exists, but couldn't tell you what's in the recon. You wonder why. Broadcast media not getting it right. The price tag, 1.7 to 2 trillion. Does it make a difference for us? Not really. I mean, 1.7 to 2 trillion is $300 billion. So that is a substantial cut. The president is still at 2 trillion as of this morning, as of this afternoon, as of this evening. He's still at 2 trillion. The moderate Democrats still at 1.7, and they said they'll go to 1.9. Every 300 trillion really helps you. It really does, because it generally pays from 1 to 3 programs. So what are the programs in and what are the programs out? I guess you're waiting for it. Here we go. Let's go to them right now. Child care tax credit. They wanted 15 years and then they wanted it 4 years, which would have cost upwards of $550 billion. And they wanted it to run for people who make $110,000 or less. They're not getting it. They're getting 1 year for people who make $60,000 or less, $3,600 to $3,000 per child. And Sharon Brown reacting to the news. Imagine if you're a Republican politician running for office next year and you vote in Lima, Ohio, and comes up and says, that child tax credit has really changed my life. What are you going to do? Are you going to cancel it? I think it speaks for itself. Free community college. They wanted this a lifetime. Is it in or is it out? At the moment, it's either out or it's at 2 years. Biden and Jalapal both say it's out. Nancy says it's not out. Definitely surviving is the Pell Grant. Then, Medicare expansion. They wanted dental, vision, hearing for 10 years, which would have cost $350 billion. Medicare, they wanted to drop to 55 under Bernie or age 60 under Bob Casey. The current situation is we don't know. And I'm going to go over that in just a second because I have more detail where this was on Sunday. Dental is very expensive, said Nancy Pelosi. This is a common sentence I've been saying in the last 48 hours. Dental is very expensive. And the Medicare expansion is part of the negotiations. The good thing about dental is that Nancy explains, and this is very complicated, that the dental doesn't kick in instantly. It takes a little bit of time for them to ramp it up. So they think there's a strange pay for that they could afford dental because it wouldn't be dental the day after they pass this as law. It takes a little while for it to kick into the program. Paid leave. They wanted it 12 weeks for everyone, for all U.S. employees, even if self-employed. This is brand new. You've never heard this before on this channel. They wanted paid leave for everyone, no matter how wealthy you are. If you are even if you're self-employed, and if you're a gig worker. So let's say you make, let's say you can make $60,000 a year driving for Uber, or $65,000. You may not qualify as low income at $65,000, but they wanted to give you 12 weeks of paid leave. Paid leave is if your wife is pregnant or your son broke his leg. Family leave, medical leave. It was going to and they wanted to run for 10 years. The price tag was going to be $500 billion, a quarter of the recon. The current look of it is 4 weeks, low income only, and only employees. $100 billion. It was supposed to be out as of Friday. By Friday, Nancy Pelosi got it back in. That's where she said, how many people have changed diapers in this room? I bet I've changed more than anyone else. Well, that lie apparently worked because she got it back in, but reduced. That's our hope. We're fighting to keep it in there. Nancy Pelosi's own words is that she's fighting to keep the paid leave in there. Tax hikes. Raising corporate and rich persons' taxes, it would raise $600 billion for the recon. Manchin saying yes after that meeting with the president in Delaware overnight. But this is not new because Manchin always said he was going to do it. He just wasn't going to do it at the rate the president had proposed. The strange thing is that broadcast media said deal. They said deal this morning because of the meeting with Joe Manchin. This shows the hideous inaccuracy by the number 3 network in the United States saying a deal had been done, because Kristen Sinema is vehemently opposed to both of those items. And the president's already said he's not going to get a deal for corporate taxes or the rich person's taxes from Sinema. So what's Ron Wyden doing? Ron Wyden is introducing legislation just today to be added on to the recon that would provide a yearly tax on unrealized gains on the wealthy. That would basically say if you're holding something, we can tax it. Wow. And then a corporate tax minimum, and then enforcement. Those are all provisions that, I just butchered that. Sinema and Wyden both support unrealized gains for the wealthy. They also support corporate tax minimum rate and then enforcement. And Wyden, however, today is introducing a provision that would tax people who have $1 billion in wealth, and make more than $100 billion for more than 3 consecutive years to pay taxes on assets they hold. These are super, super wealthy people. Prescription medication. Wow. So we thought this might have been out, and then I thought maybe it was in there. Well, guess what? We currently looks like it is in there, but getting watered down. They look like they're going to do lower prescription medication on some medication approved by Medicare Part B, but not some of the medication provided by Medicare Part D. Child care. They wanted it at $450 billion. They think they have it in there, but a very complicated, watered-down solution. Clean energy, definitely out, the Joe Manchin provision. But it looks like they're trying to get an emissions cut provision in there as well. Health insurance, they wanted it very, very long. They think they're going to get it in there, but shorter. Housing aid, great news about this one. So housing aid, they wanted $300 billion. It was out as of Thursday. Then Friday it was in at $100 billion. Then it went to $150 billion. Now it's at $175. In-home care, which is the Bob Casey provision. They had wanted $400 billion. Casey wanted $250. Now it looks like they're going to get somewhere between $100 to $200. So wow, it came back really quickly. Great news of a lot of those provisions. See a common theme? I do. They really like things under the $250 billion mark. And if they're $500 billion, obviously it's not going to happen. Joe Manchin continually getting big praise. I told you Joe Manchin's good in this equation. He's been very good. If there was one thing you've learned from this channel over the last few months, maybe in July or August, I blocked any person who ever said something like Joe Manchin's never going to give you a recon, because I knew he was going to give you a recon. Joe Manchin does the same thing all the time. He just creates his negotiating points, and then he agrees to them eventually, and he comes to an agreement. He's done this every single recon. So you notice in the month of June and July and August, where there was always sometimes a very GOP viewer who says, you're never going to get a recon for these Democrats because of Joe Manchin. I said, of course you are. I never referred to Joe Manchin on air. You notice why I started referring to Joe Manchin on air recently? Because he was going to do the recon, and now he has. He's not the problem. You know who the problem is. Out of Arizona. Kristen Sinema. A new quote from Ro Khanna, who's the Democrat from California, a House representative. He does not mince his words, Ro Khanna. He says, Senator Joe Manchin has been a straight shooter. You know exactly where he stands. I disagree with him on areas, but I respect that he always tells me what I want. My concern is with Senator Sinema. This is Ro Khanna talking. Senator Sinema is why are the rules different for her? Why doesn't she go on TV shows like yours? Why does she explain herself? What's the issue? She doesn't tell legislators, as I hit the cord, it's a dark day. In a dark day where there's just so much darkness, including Kristen Sinema, you just don't know where things are. It's just a dark day. And so, we try our best. When you look at the situation with Sinema at the moment, she's not still telling people what she doesn't like. And so it causes a lot of anxiety among these legislators. And this is a quote from Sunday by Ro Khanna to Chris Wallace on Fox News, saying, why doesn't Kristen Sinema appear on talk radio or TV news and say what she wants and what she's not? No one knows things. So Pelosi says, Pelosi said the following yesterday. On our side, we've been totally ready with alternatives in terms of House and Senate and the White House. We have plenty of alternatives, so it's good. Pelosi's basically saying, do add-ons. We can do add-ons. That's what Pelosi's always said to the viewers of the channel, her office at least. And Pelosi said Sunday that the Senate will start outlining additional financing proposals starting today. Now, here's an interesting thing about dental. Pelosi says dental will take longer to implement, meaning to put it into application, not longer to make it law, longer to put it into practice. We've been told by people who know these things that it takes 5 to 6 years to implement the dental. So how do we say fill in the blanks there? Meaning she says, what do we do in the short term? That is a strange calculation because they're trying to figure out how much it cost and then figure out maybe doing those vouchers. All right, let's go to the details that came in going into today, because you see, it's a jam-packed recording. On Sunday, we were told that the president was having big issues with dental, vision, and hearing, and that there was big problems that maybe it couldn't survive. Bernie Sanders saying it's not coming out. The expansion of Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing is one of the most popular and more important provisions of the entire bill. This is what Americans want. And Omar saying, my biggest worry is if we start going after our 5 set of progressive priorities, then the whole thing becomes dicey. Great news is they're not removing the dental, vision, or hearing at the moment. They're trying to figure out where to land. I have more about that in a second. The paid leave we had seen going into Sunday, maybe it was going out. The president said remove it, apparently, somewhere between Friday and Sunday. Nancy pushed back, and it's staying in there. The president was trying to do a blame game on Manchin throughout the weekend, trying to blame Joe Manchin for the paid leave coming out. And now, somewhere along the equation, it looks like they got it in there back again. The director of paid leave for America, Don Huckleberg, Hucklebridge, no less than 24 hours ago, said, the fact that this administration has run on and Congress's champion would not be a priority to me is unbelievable. It's unconscionable and unconceivable that there's a risk that paid leave could be on the chopping block. It was on the chopping block. But at the moment, suggestions suggest it's going back in there. The important thing is this real big quote from the press secretary going in the weekend, who says these programs have never existed before in our society. These are historic programs. This is what's so important for you as you look at this recon. The recon will pay you upwards of $15,000 across the board. These are programs that you have never seen in the history of this country. So you have never seen these programs. You've never seen these sums of money. You've never seen how to get these money. And that is why I say it pays you upwards of $15,000. When anyone is ever in the live chat and says, I don't want this thing, I only want that thing, how would you even know it? It has never existed before. These are brand new things that pay you money into your pocket for your bills. And these are great things across the board. Let's go back moreover to some of those programs in and those programs out, because the situation is really fluid. And here we go. I had told you on Friday that Richard Neal, House of House Ways and Means Committee, was just all wrong when he said, we have agreed on the policy outcomes. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. And that's why it was the situation that we're still here. We're still negotiating the policy outcomes. Nancy said on Friday, we're 90% there and everything is agreed upon. I like that quote. Remember, they're not writing the recon now. The recon's already written, that subcommittee that passed at $350 billion. It should be $3.5 trillion. $3.5 trillion of that recon. What are they doing? They're just changing numbers and moving some provisions around. I love this quote by Stephanie Murray, who's a Democrat from Florida, who says, basically, you haven't asked me what I want in here. Well, ask me, because I have an opinion as well. This is what Nancy's doing right today with the senators, but we also have those House members. House members and senators can add things in there. House members can add it after there's a bill, but before there's a vote. Senators can add it during the two-day vote-a-rama. Stephanie Murray says, we need to make sure that everybody's concerns are heard and addressed. I would think they would really want to engage with me and ask my opinion of the situation. Joe Manchin was pitted in broadcast media on Thursday as the reason why dental and vision was at jeopardy. The president told the American people that Joe Manchin is against it. The president did not tell the American people that the president was not in favor of it for the current duration of 10 years and was asking for dental to come out. Very strange details across the board. what was happening with the dental and vision and hearing. They were doing a lot of things. I may have skipped it somewhere in my notes, so let me go and see if I go off of memory. They were looking at removing dental and leaving just vision and hearing. Then they were looking at just doing dental at vouchers of $800 a year. Then they were looking at doing dental and vision and hearing a shorter period of time. Where do I think this is going to land? I think they're going to do dental, vision, and hearing, all of them, shorter period, like 3 years. But I think they're going to really do vouchers. I think they have to do vouchers. Why? Because Pelosi's comment on broadcast media yesterday is very helpful. She says, we can pass dental today, but you're not going to see a benefit of dental on your plan for Medicare for many, many years because it takes a while for them to put into the plan. Rather, what we like to do as the federal government is send you a voucher so that you have money for dental. Yes, I've said over the last 2 days, I don't think $800 is enough for dental for an individual person per year. It's fine if you're a 22-year-old kid and you're just getting teeth cleaning, but as you get older, dental bills are more than $800. So it's better than nothing, but it's not enough, in my opinion. All right, let's go then over The Price is Right. 1.7, 1.9, 1.2 trillion. Broadcast media this morning saying that the price was 1.7. It was agreed to in Delaware, and we're done. That was what the number 3 U.S. broadcast media did in their feed, and they sent it out to all the local news affiliates here in Los Angeles and everywhere else. And I said, wait, when did this happen? Did I just miss something? No, it has not been agreed to at 1.7, and every $300 billion is $300 billion. At $300 billion pays for about a program and a half or 2 programs. So $300 billion is a lot of money to move on. The president's been very decisive. He's showing leadership, says Debbie Dingell. And Patty Murray says, we see the timeline. My concern is that the reason why the president had Joe Manchin in Delaware, no one's saying this except you and I, is because the president's going out of town. The president's not around this week. Why? This is the most important period of time in which the president makes the calls. The president has to ultimately make the determination of what is out and what is in, where things are going and where things aren't going. I understand the president said community college out and Nancy pushed to put it back in. But ultimately, the president has enough people in that administration who want climate provisions in there that held up this recon for 4 months for clean energy provision. And ultimately, the president said, no, you're taking this out. I need to have Joe Manchin agree to the recon. They took it out. There were some people in the administration, not the president himself, that are stubborn and are being creating a blockade on certain provisions. The president says, no, you got to take it out. You got to get it out. The corporate tax, another provision. The president met with Joe Manchin on Sunday to agree to corporate tax and the wealth tax, but Sinima's not doing that. She's still not doing that. Now, the president has found other alternatives as to how to raise money for this recon, but the president needs to focus on those now. If he's going out of town, why is he focusing on something again, corporate tax and wealth tax that Sinema won't support? You don't have a recon if you don't have to pay for it for the recon. So if there's anything that makes me a little disturbed is that the president's leaving town. I know he can do things remotely. It is a digital era, but even that. The SALT tax also out. The cap on state and local tax deduction out. And then the dental, vision, and hearing, which is really a battleground for those progressives, definitely stayed in there. Wow, look at the running time. Let's go right to student loan debt forgiveness. I knew this was going to be a big broadcast. You felt it as well. Student loan debt, more debt could be forgiven, and the Democrats should take the president's offer. The president has offered $10,000 of student loan debt to be forgiven. This is on top of the 3 rounds that have already been offered across the board. He forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then he forgave student loan debts for people who became nonprofit workers in the nonprofit sector for 10 years after graduation. And finally, the big one, the president forgave student loan debts just days ago for people who went into the public sector for 10 years after graduation. All your debts are forgiven. That is city, county, state, and federal government. All your debts are forgiven. But now the president offered $10,000 on top of that for all Americans. The Democrats should take it. Doesn't mean it's the only provision they're going to do. Just take that one and come back and ask more next year. COLA is going up, and that is your 5th stimulus. That is your benefits. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, it's next year. But 5th stimulus is right behind it. And the great news is that one of the top legislators said to Nancy Pelosi last week, get ready for 5th stimulus. It's right behind 4th stimulus. House Budget Chairman John Newman, Democrat, Kentucky, says that we need to do fifth stimulus right away, right after fourth stimulus, and do it by recon. Have the Republicans vote against it. Force Republicans to vote against it, like Medicare expansion, child or senior care. And I don't see the downside of an election year because we're trying to do things that are really popular. Basically, get this big social reform done, additional items next year, and tee it up for the midterm elections and have the Republicans vote against it right before the midterms. Great news across the board. This stimulus raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Rail benefits. Then it applies a new benchmark. The new benchmark, inflation. That inflationary benchmark will be 1 to 3%. You want that because COLA next year will likely be 0. So first, your benefits are going to go up under COLA. Then, if this stimulus becomes law, they'll go up again. Then next year, they'll go up a third time. Great news across the board. They're going to remove the asset cap, remove the income cap, and remove the marriage penalty. Finally, if you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The membership link is under the video. Members are delivered the incredible newsletter Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time that details all the incredible money you can get under first, second, and third stimulus. Viewers are getting upwards of $40,000. They're getting more money for rent, utilities, food, and internet because there is so much news this last week and this week. I haven't had a lot of time to get for third stimulus, but continue to send me your incredible DMs and I'll feature them live on air. I'm compiling them, and boy, the incredible great news continues to come on in. Then, the 1.5 year anniversary of this channel. Boy, what a year and a half it's been. Yesterday was the 1.5 year anniversary of this channel. And over that 1.5 years, we have done so much and learned so much. One of the things is about inclusiveness and being kind and respectful to everyone. And that starts here. Being considerate to everyone and everyone's wishes and desires because everyone has a different wish and desire. If you're one of those people that have seen anyone jump in the live chat say, I only want this provision. All the rest of it doesn't serve anyone. Yeah, it does. It serves the other viewers. Never be disrespectful of another viewer because everyone is a different viewer. This channel started with me covering EIDL and PPP and PUA. What is that? People who are employed that became unemployed. People who are sole practitioners like Uber, Lyft drivers. People who are small business operators or sole practitioners. And those were the first few viewers. Then I started to cover SSI and SSDI. One of my first videos went viral. No one ever heard of this. 3 million views for a video when a channel had less than about 40,000 subscribers. Why? Because I talked to my viewers of SSI and SSDI. Well, they weren't my viewers at the time. I talked to the contingency of SSI, SSDI that had never had anyone talk to them about their desires and their needs. No one had addressed their concerns. I didn't seek to isolate the group of people I had covered before. I just intended to increase the scope of the coverage, including both business owners and SSI and SSDI. And as time went on, there was always someone in a particular demographic that was not welcoming of the other demographic, but we did not pay attention to that viewer. There was a viewer who would be on SSI and SSDI, say, I don't want to hear about business loans. I don't have any money to own a business. Well, that's disrespectful to the business viewers. There would always be a viewer that said, I don't want to hear about money for seniors. I just want to know about money for myself. I'm not old enough yet. That was disrespectful to the seniors. We are always a community where we're inclusive of everyone because everyone is very different. And when you're doing a reconciliation package, which becomes a bill, which becomes a law, you have to understand it encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses things from people who are newly born all the way up to people who are very, very elderly. It encompasses people who work and do incredible, great jobs working to people who can't work, who are disabled. There's a lot of things in a particular recon. And when there's a lot of things in that recon, we have to be respectful of everyone. No time or place to come into a chat and say, I only want to hear about this. I don't care about the other provisions. Well, that's just selfishness. We don't do that here. We've never done that here. It's important to understand that news is for everyone. And there's a lot of news in a particular cycle. Sort of like how you turn on that broadcast channel and you may not care for a particular sport, but they're going to get to your sport in just a second for the latest coverage. Just like when I'm going over stimulus. There's a lot in this recon that'll pay you upwards of $15,000. As soon as it becomes law, there's a lot of programs. You see how many programs in just this recording alone, about 12 to 20 programs, that's going to pay you money. It's going to take an effort, a focus, and attention to learn about those items if you've never seen this channel. But if you've been watching all along, you're already ready to get that money and pounce. And with that, join me next on Evenings LALATE. Expect to be a big broadcast tonight because the news cycle is changing very quickly. Then join me on 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10:30, and 11:30 as well, as shows continue about Fourth Stimulus all night long, on the hour, by the hour. We're getting very close. It's getting very excited. So with that, I want you to subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video and consider becoming a member to get that newsletter coming out tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system. Membership link is under the video. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP today. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful afternoon and stay with LALATE for more.